Other questions for Sir Ernest at this point? Yes, madam. Your name, please.
And your publication.
Shanti?
Yes, Shanti.
Yes, the question was, even when one of the crew members did not take your orders,
yes,
but still you did not discipline him individually,
yes,
but I mean as a team when you met, like you had mentioned that we need to work together as a team to survive.
yes.
So is it a good thing not to discipline a person but try a different strategy to make that person himself realize that he has made a mistake or to change his ways?
Thank you for the question, Shanti. Please be seated. Men, I never wanted the men to think that they were ever failing me. If anything, I wanted them to feel that they had perhaps disappointed the members of the team and had not lived up to their own capabilities. If they had failed at all, they had failed themselves. We set a standard for surviving, for achieving. It's very high. And there's pressure that comes with high standards. And so discipline, when standards are not achieved, is more effective when an individual realizes that they have not achieved according to their own standards, not the standards that are established by the leader, by individual standards. We try to align the individual standards with the standards of the expedition at all times, so that there was always a connection between individuals and performance. So, discipline is a word that I rarely ever use. There was never 20 lashes, never anything like that. There was always an inquiry as to why something was not performed as well as it could be expected. And if there were reasons behind that, then we would address those reasons. I never held the men responsible for lack of capability. As Mr. McCarthy has indicated, I chose each and every one of them for their extraordinary high standards and for their sense of teamwork. When those standards were not met by the individual, occasionally I would point that out. I would say, it appears, Dennis, that you did not reach your own standards today. That's how it appears. Can you explain that to me, please? That was my discipline. That was my discipline. There was never latrine duty. There was never KP. It was just an inquiry. But are your standards still in place? Are you comfortable with today's outcome? Are you happy or unhappy in the work that we're doing and in the goal that we have set for ourselves? Inquiries are far greater than discipline, in my mind. You will get answers rather than a scowl. And there's no separation. It brings you closer to those who depend upon your leadership, and that is leadership. Discipline is not leadership. Discipline is a shortcut. Discipline is authority. There's a great difference, Shakti, as you know, between authority and leadership. Authority says, go there now. Leadership says, come with me. I would rather say, come with me. Have I answered your question to the satisfaction of the universe? Thank you for asking it. Chippy McNeish, I hope, has learned from his experiences with me. He was a hot-tempered man, as you saw I could be as well at the end of our first part of today with Mr. Peeble. It happens to all of us. Mr. McCarthy.
Thank you, Sir Ernest. Are there other questions for Sir Ernest at this point?
You must be doing a fabulous job.
I think so, sir.
Well, in that case...
The other point I would make in terms of Shanti's question, leaders frequently question themselves, and we know that Sir Ernest did that as well, because he frequently shared those questions with us. But leaders always question themselves about whether or not the approach they're taking is the correct one. It is unfortunately true that there is no such thing as a one-size-fits-all leadership style. Leadership changes from situation to situation and from individual to individual. There is a tendency on the part of human nature to attack negative behavior. Let that to be the first response. What Sir Ernest always did, and made it clear to us that he was doing, was first attempting to understand the reasons for the negative behavior, and based upon what those reasons were, to tailor the corrective action appropriately, to bring us back to where we needed to be. So it isn't always that discipline is necessary. However, as circumstances change, well, if discipline is warranted, certainly, it should be meted out. But in Sir Ernest's case, since he had selected all of us, he knew that our goals were primarily the same. He knew that we were all on the same page. We had a common objective. So there wasn't need to question that, as there is in so many organizations where the leader does not select the team. So as the situation changes, one's approach must change. We can't simply have a magic pill or a simple panacea that answers all questions. I hope that perspective helps to some extent.
Well done, McCarthy. Well done.
Are there questions?
Really?
Splendid. Well, in that case, Sir Ernest, I think we've one question that still needs to be asked, and we've come to that.
Yes, I promised that question to Mr. Peabody. Mr. Peabody, so we have come to your question. The question. Question that in my mind no one can sufficiently answer, save for Captain Scott and his God. I like to think that I knew him, Mr. Peabody. I knew his spirit, I knew his mind, but I did not know his heart. I'm not certain it's possible for one human being to thoroughly and completely understand and know the heart of another. I admired him, his intelligence. I respected his courage. And I was astounded by his leadership. And even if I thought for a single moment, Mr. Peabody, that he actually gave the order to Dr. Wilson to distribute those opium tablets, still would not diminish him in my eyes as a leader. Nor do I believe it would diminish him in the eyes of any single member of the Terra Nova expedition.
Sir Ernest, we all realize how difficult this is for you. But in covering the anniversary of your expedition and the safe return of your men, there will have to be some mention made of Captain Scott's life, his work, his sacrifice, and his legacy. It would be helpful if you would just give us your perspective.
My perspective, Mr. Peabody, is that what's truly valuable to you? Wouldn't you rather know what I hold in my heart? Because in matters such as these, I rarely deal in perspectives, and neither did Captain Scott. In matters such as these, Captain Scott preferred to give his custom to the heart, also to fact, belief, courage, and above all, integrity. Now you're asking me if I think it's possible that he gave the last remaining men in his tent the opportunity to end their suffering on their own terms? Yes, of course it's possible. Captain Scott, in his heart, knew the facts. He knew that there was no way out. No way to win. If you're asking me if I think it's possible that he could have taken those tablets himself, never, Mr. Peabody, never. Captain Scott would never have admitted defeat, no matter how dire, no matter how severe the circumstances. Captain Scott was a leader who other leaders followed. He was, quite frankly, the most honorable man I have ever had the pleasure of serving under. He awoke every single morning with the sound of God's trumpets in his ears, and then he shared that music daily with his men, with his king, country, and with leaders and adventurers everywhere. Captain Scott is still a hero today, Mr. Peabody, a hero to all of those who know of him, his great achievements. Perhaps, Mr. Peabody, it's not best that we sit together and discuss the circumstances of his life, rather than we stand together, shoulder to shoulder strong, and discuss the achievements of his life. For his was a life of great success and great significance. Captain Robert Scott, my friends, will never die, so long as the power of his truth and the greatness of his achievements are embraced by leaders everywhere. And the power of his truth, my friend, was bold, committed, transformational leadership. He had that one attribute in his heart that leaders everywhere hope for, wish for, and pray for. Ice, cold, cold. That was, and is, Captain Robert Falk Scott. Have I answered your question to the satisfaction of your universe, Mr. Peabody?
Thank you, Sir Ernest. You most certainly have.
I thank you for asking me, sir. I thank you, Mr. McCarthy, for your assistance in these proceedings today.
Thank you, Sir Ernest, and on behalf of everyone here present, I should like to thank you, not only for your participation in today's event,
Certainly.
but also for your ongoing contributions to the science of discovery. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, Sir Ernest Shackleton.
Thank you.